What is going on, my beautiful people? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day today, fellers. What is happening? What's going on? My main man, Jumper. It's time to jump around. Jump, jump, jump around. It's gonna be an intro. I'm gonna make that for you. Every time you join, we're gonna play that song. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? It's probably late as hell over there. Troy was telling me he's getting a little sleepy. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. So, what's on the itinerary for today? I would like to have a little discussion about good old marathon and the consensus, where we're at, how are we feeling, how are other people feeling. I kind of have an idea. I know how I feel, and I kind of have an idea how other people feel. But you know, I was gonna play some Arc Raiders. I had it loaded up, and I just wanted to make it just like a 1-to-1 because I already had my feelings about Arc Raiders. Spoiler, I think it's a good game, just not really for me. It's not really my type of style as far like it's a good game. It's just like it's just not itching me, you know what I mean? It kind of has that itch, but it's not pulling me. Marathon does. Marathon is fondling something, and I'm a hell of a lot more excited, and which is very interesting because the roles were reversed. Understand, I did not like Marathon. I hated Marathon. During the alpha, I hated what it did to Destiny. I hated all of the scandals that was going on. The alpha was just bad. I'm like, bro, like ew. I literally like physically like felt sick anytime. Why didn't we get golden armor with the anniversary cape? You gotta bring that up with my boy Shams Rajani. You gotta bring that up with him, okay? Slide a little DM. Actually, you know what you should do? You should give him a box that said why. You know what I mean? And then put like a golden sticker on it. But anyhow, derailing me. What was I talking about? Something about marathon fondling my balls. Something or the other. But yeah, I'm just honestly just having oh yeah. What I hated that dev fucking like I don't even know what you want to call it, like apology stream. You know, YouTubers like they do something bad and then they have an apology stream where they're like crying and shit. Bungie had a an apology stream, and they looked like they were about to start crying, brother. It was absolutely the most worst thing ever. So I had no hope. Nobody had any hope for marathon. It honestly left a lot of it left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, you know. But they've said I'm sorry. They said that they'll pay anti-real. They had the alpha. They took the feedback and they said, "Listen, it's an alpha. It's not." But no. They were gonna release the game in September last year. So no. You had to give them the backlash. You couldn't have launched the game and say that it was. So I'm glad that they delayed the game. It feels good, and I'm liking it. And so instead of playing Arc Raiders, we're gonna end up watching a couple of videos. I have a Skill Ups video. I don't think he's liking it. They got a freaking silver armor for the first anniversary. Why the fuck shouldn't we get a nice gold armor? Have we not suffered enough? Listen, if that little challenge that one guy is putting up for $1,000 for them to go on Super Hell Die for Osha Une, or would you say yeah, Osha Une? I like to say no Shwane, I don't care. They're gonna feel the suffer. I would think it would be so hilarious if they just walked in there, like literally walked in there and not even like break a freaking sweat, dude. They do a full clear. They're walking like a straight up like lore accurate 4 John Helldivers. Just absolutely just rinse it. I think that would be hilarious. And they'll be like, it's a skill issue, bud. But no, I bet they're gonna get rinsed. I bet they're gonna get rinsed. Because it's almost impossible for a dev to be better than someone that no lifes this game. I don't think there's like a single dev that's like better than the best player in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's, even though he made it, he took the challenge down. People kept bullying him about the devs were training for it. He realized that the game is a lot harder than they thought. Why would he take the guy that put up the challenge is like backing down? It's going to charity, so it's not even like it's... Don't flex the money and then back down because you think they're gonna take it. Or are you saying the dev said no? Which one is it? It looks like I have a fucking ad for Surfshark. Oh yeah, also, I got a new monitor. I don't know if I told you. I don't really remember if you remember my monitor breaking somehow. I got to look all the way down here. Yeah, he said that he cannot disclose it, but he just said his part is done, so they could have taken it. Just have to wait. You think they're training for it? Also, a Cyborg lore video dropped. That is the truth about the origin, and you got it right. She, my man's the lore guy himself. All right, let's look at this skill
This video is brought to you by Surfshark, who for years have delivered humanized privacy and security. A few important caveats. Number one, and most importantly, this is not a review because the full game is not out yet, so you cannot review it. The Server Slam only had a limited amount of the game's final content, and we know the full release will have more shells, more maps, fully unlocked progression, the list goes on. So this is an impressions video based on about 10 to 12 hours of gameplay with the recent Server Slam, and I remain open to the possibility that my feelings on this will completely change at launch, and honestly, I hope they do, because right now I'm not feeling great. A second caveat is that this is just my opinion, and that caveat is particularly important when it comes to Marathon, because I can tell you right now that there are people who are feeling this. The game is shot up to become the second highest selling game on Steam right after Resident Evil Requiem. The game's subreddit is super happy with the game. Many of the previews are very positive.
Yeah, I did see that. Hold on, go back. It's like number 2 for top selling. It goes Resident Evil, Marathon, Counter-Strike, obviously, and then, you know what I mean, the fucking usual Arc Raiders, I don't know, GTA.
Across social media, you won't struggle to find positive sentiment towards Marathon, so please do not take this video as me saying Marathon is bad, because I don't think that. I do think it has some problems, but my strongest feelings toward it aren't frustrations with things that aren't working. It's more ambivalence towards the things that are. I've played Marathon on a couple of occasions now, one time at Bungie HQ, again during an alpha test, and now again during this recent Server Slam. I've seen plenty of commentary from people being like, oh, I played it before and it wasn't good, but now in this latest build, they changed heaps of stuff and it's way better. And I just don't really
I feel like
agree
everyone
with that. I think it's still the same game as it was before. I think it's more polished and it looks better, and the full suite of weapons and items has broadened the moment-to-moment gameplay experience. But as I played it in the past,
I haven't played it, but visually, like, the gameplay looks
missing
better.
A hook. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out from other extraction shooters, from other competitive experiences. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out as a video game. I don't think Bungie has found that thing yet. From my experience playing this, Marathon is a very competently made, very competitive.
What do you think is gonna happen then? It's like our biggest minus plans for the DSS. They'll probably talk about, you know what I mean? I can see it right now. Very, very obvious trope. They're gonna heat it up. They're gonna wind it up. And be like, hey, we're gonna use it. They're gonna try and negotiate, but we don't negotiate with terrorists. So then we're gonna end up either, if we, you know, the major order will be if we win, we'll end up turning it around and blowing up one of their planets, possibly Cyberstan, maybe. Or if we lose a major order, they'll blow up one of our planets.
Team shooter set on medium-sized maps, and that's about it. Scanning some of the feedback across social media, it's clear to me that for a number of people, Marathon's focus on being a competitive team shooter is enough, and I would say this: I don't think you can call Marathon generic in the sense that there isn't anything doing what it's doing, at least not quite in the way that it's doing it. Marathon has this unique visual style. It has an aura.
Yeah, I feel like it's very
excellent gunplay. It has hero abilities. It has a very granular
almost
gearing
original
system that allows you to build towards certain playstyles. It has roaming squads of PvE enemies that will completely truck you if you don't respect them. Taken in aggregate, all of this delivers a very punishing, demanding, challenging, and competitive experience that's ultimately very
It feels like a
rewarding
Bungie game.
if
This
you
looks like
internalize
Destiny
this
type
challenge
shit.
and become invested in all
This
the
like
tiny
literally
ways
looks like
that you can
Destiny,
become
and
more
it kind of
powerful
feels
and
like
more
it is.
effective. So I might look at all the work that goes into creating a properly synergized build and think to myself, what's the point if I'm going to lose all that the next time I get sniped across the map? While someone else is going to look at all that work and effort and think to themselves, man, all this gear is going to make it so easy for me to snipe fools from.
In the files, the weapon looks like a spiky Death Star, and there are rumors it will target the creek just to fuck with the divers. Oh, we own. Yeah, that is our creek. We did deliberate that.
So have I kind of contradicted myself there? Isn't this stuff I'm describing the hook? I mean, maybe it is, but I think that sort of stuff really only buys you an audience of a certain size, and I don't think Bungie is a studio that is looking to make games for an audience of that size. Certainly Sony did not pay $3.8 billion for this studio to make games for an audience of that size. Bungie is a big legacy studio based in Seattle. They're looking to make games that sell tens of millions of copies, and that's where the hook comes in. It's the thing that tricks people like me into checking something out and or sticking with it. And obviously, our thoughts naturally drift to something like Arc Raiders. Talk about a game with a hook, or hooks plural, the incredible Arc enemies, which were always so fun to fight because of their animations and their weak spots, the engaging quest structure, the distinctiveness of each map and each landmark, such that you truly felt like you were picking through the ruins of an ended world, the organic way that the game fostered communication and collaboration in a genre where kill on sight was the expectation. These are hooks, and the result is that Arc Raiders sold 14 million copies, and right now on Steam it's still averaging a daily peak concurrent player count of around 250,000 people.
Arc's good. It's very, very impressive.
Weekend, and it debuted at 145,000 players on Steam, and then it just trended down after that. It didn't even get a weekend bump. And look, I don't want to make this a straight comparison to Arc Raiders, so let's talk about another comparison.
The game's not
Hunt
fully
Showdown.
out.
Now, Hunt Showdown has a similarly brutal level of difficulty and a really low time to kill.
But hold on, but I mean, you can't literally compare a game that's fully released to a server slam that's been out for 4 days that will get reset. You know what I mean? So that's a little different.
And a tremendous learning curve, but that game has some seriously big-ass hooks. Its suite of PvE enemies are an interesting puzzle to solve and require you to fight each of them in very specific ways. Its streamlined approach to progression and power make it very simple to understand, so you can focus on playing rather than inventory management. Most importantly, its extraction structure is very objective-based. There is a boss to kill. It is not easy to kill. You then need to banish the boss, which lets the whole server know where you are, and it's fucking intense. It's like a siege, like barbarians at the gates kind of shit. And then, when you're done, you gotta haul ass across the map to extract the bounty, hoping hoping that no one is waiting for you when you get there. It actually feels like a very PvE game.
I didn't
mode.
really get into
It just
Hunt.
happens to have a PvP element, and it's just brilliant. It really is. In
It
contrast,
felt very slow
I
to me.
remember being on the map in Marathon, and we just wiped a team, and I'd collected their loot, and I remember thinking to myself, what could I do next that's fun? And the answer was like, kind of nothing. There weren't formidable PvE enemies.
That right there. And, you know, I'm noticing this a lot from these journalists that don't play these kind of games, that are also, like, not PvP guys, so they don't really understand, they might understand the element of replayability of just, like, just mindlessly fighting and just wanting that engagement, right? Probably because they're not that good at it, and I could totally understand that. These guys are mostly like single player fucking or kind of I play everything kind of game because they're journalists. They literally have to play every game. But like that right there just kind of tells me he doesn't really understand what the game's about. You're telling me you killed a team, looted their body, and you didn't know what to do? Well, there's two things. One, you have two objectives up there. To your right, you got to download botany reports from the second floor terminal so you can go ahead and do contracts. Or you can go fight another team. Or you can go loot some more. You can go fight the bots. There's raid-like mechanics. There's loot containers. So if you know what I'm saying, if you're not that great of a PvP guy, go fight the bots. That's what I like doing. When I'm not feeling, you know, I don't got the best loot, I'm not trying to go up against a squad with a kitted loadout and I got a sponsored kit. It usually doesn't end well. So I like to, you know what I'm saying, fight the bots a little bit, loot up, and then try and go fight some PvP, you know what I mean? Or do my objective. So there's I noticed that there's a lot of like misunderstanding with this game.
Fight who would drop me guaranteed valuable components. There weren't boss enemies that I could fight. There weren't any activatable
There are
events
boss
that would reward
enemies.
me with great loot.
There
None
are.
of my squad mates had any quests.
There literally is. I mean, like, active, you know what I'm saying? You might have to wait a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like 5 minutes into the run, it looks like, how long are runs? 20 minutes? Because he has 10 minutes on his timer. But like later in the runs, there are literally events. There's one right there on his screen. This little storage box. You hack that, and a bunch of enemies will spawn with like a mini boss. You know, it's not like a big boss. You know what I'm saying? But it's a fucking tough as shit enemy with some good loot.
That they needed doing. I never encountered other players using proximity chat, so it's not like I could team up with someone else and help them out with something. I don't know that there's any specific
This is a
rhyme
skill
or
up
reason
video.
to loot locations, so it's not like I can head to a specific building in pursuit of a specific component, and besides that, there's no crafting in this game anyway, and my ability to buy or trade things is all determined by faction rep. I kind of wanted to leave at that point, but the team I was with clearly didn't, and they were just kind of hanging around the extract zone, refusing to move into the circle. And that's when it dawned on me that they were just happy to extract camp. Because at that point, that's all there was to do, you know? And so that's what we did. We killed another solo player trying to extract. We took his loot.
You
and then we went back.
extract camped? You extracted camped? That was the thing you decided? You said, shit, there's nothing else to do in the game, so you extract camp? So you rat? Oh, boy. Skill Up. Listen, I like some of Skill Up videos. You know what I mean? I like some of Skill Up videos. But my man, I feel like that's a little out of touch. Well, let me see what some of these questions. You sent me something on Discord? Yeah. Damn. What the hell? You know, I gotta set like alerts or something. Oh, on Xbox? Do I not have like added or something? What's going on? The hell? Where the fuck? I'm sorry? Oh, is that what you're saying? It's permanently destroying Cybersand will be gone? Let's see. Well, that sucks. But what are we gonna do then, dude? I wanna keep playing. Yo, by the way, hold on. Just look at this fucking message right here. Man. Why? What was that? Yep. It's a couple days before my birthday. Okay, I see it. I see it. I see it. Oh my god, this is tiny. This is uber tiny. Can't fucking read that shit. The Arrowhead challenge for charity has been canceled. The reason the person that issued the challenge had their location tracked and was receiving threats from the community. Jesus Christ. Few people have seen, to have mentioned it is here, so what? It here, so figured I'd make a post about it. The original poster of the Oshwane challenge made a post in the unfiltered sub stating that the challenge is officially canceled and that they will be backing away from Reddit. The reason people have been harassing him for the challenge and have now tracked down the location to one of the real life locations they volunteer at to harass him there. I'll post a link to the original post, but I doubt the mods would appreciate me linking the unfiltered sub. I advise you to look for yourself. Jeez Louise, bro. Face the wall. Can't make them play their own game. That's cruel. What on earth, brother? Holy shit. Someone is literally making threats to someone else for telling the devs to play their own game. Wow. What kind of... Why are you mad at him? I literally don't even understand the logic behind that. My guy is literally trying to give money to charity and you're threatening him? With what, a good time? Like, I don't understand the logic behind this. The devs were training, obviously. Like, in what world would you not fucking train for any kind of challenge? In what world would you not train for any challenge? This YouTuber who posted the story has stuff on it, I think. Well, this is turning into a Helldiver stream. That is absolutely insane. Those making threats from not real fans of the game. No actual diver would do such a thing. True that. True that. Yeah, that really sucks, dude. That we live in a world with such weird people. That's why I try to be, you know, not a bad person and make people not hate me to avoid shit like this. Most humors are good, but every has a few bad apples. Yeah. But a bad apple could spoil the bunch. Bad apple could spoil the bunch. That's a dang diggity dang damn problem. Damn. Yeah, I'm okay with the skill of video. Let's watch a
Marathon
Jesse
add any
Kazam.
value to the extraction shooter genre?
Try to be nice as hard as you can. But turns out one of your friends is the predator. Ooh. He had to report him to the police and he got me canceled online for a month and nobody remembers it. Well, how can he cancel you? What do you mean? What did you do? I remember. You only get canceled if you did something.
That is the question that I wanted to answer going into this server slam. If you are anything like me, you have been on an emotional roller coaster with Marathon. Way back when it was originally announced, it seemed absolutely dripping in aura. It seemed like such a fresh and interesting take on the genre. Years later, when it was finally revealed to the public through the alpha, it seemed like even though it had some really interesting ideas, it just didn't know what it wanted to be, and it was clear it was not ready for primetime. Then the controversy started hitting, and they delayed the game, and for a while, it just kind of felt like all hope had been lost for Marathon. Then they re-emerged out of nowhere with some upgrades, improvements, and a sense of direction for the game. And even though I tried to ignore it, the cinematics and the lore drops and the developer deep dives that they were posting started to reignite my excitement for the game. Going into the server slam, I really didn't know what to think. I just wanted to hop in with some friends and see if the game was fun. And beyond that, I wanted to see if the game had anything to say. I wanted to see if Marathon added anything to the genre. We've talked at length before on this channel in previous videos about how the extraction shooter genre has been in a weird spot, and how the most successful games have been the ones that took the core principles of the genre and then created something new from those principles. And the ones that have not been successful have been the ones who just tried to cash in on a new trend. Well, after 4 days of playing and almost 40 hours of the current build of Marathon, I gotta say, I am really enjoying it. But it's a bit more complicated than that. Obviously, before we get into the weeds here, I feel like it's important to say that this is just my opinion. This is not a sponsored video. I am just letting you know how I feel about the game so far. If you like it less than me, I totally respect that. And if you like it more than me, that's great too. I will say though, for me, this has absolutely been a game that has grown on me over time. Each day I played, I was enjoying it more.
Well, I mean, honestly, for me,
and that seems to be a sentiment
it absolutely did like grow on me. Just I feel like any game, you know what I mean? Like you start off at level 1, and by the time you get to, you know, a couple levels in, you're starting to feel good. But it didn't take any convincing. It didn't take a couple games for me to be like, I like this. I think like from the first game, I was like, this is interesting. I want to play the next game. Met a kid with Down syndrome and he accidentally punched you in the face because he was having an episode, and when he calmed down, he couldn't stop apologizing. Oh, I mean, that kind of is an excuse, I guess. I mean, I don't. Said he was having a fucking episode. He said it. He accidentally punched you. So, I mean, unless he like fucking turned around, fucking locked eyes with you, winded back, and hit you with that right hook. Like, what do you mean accidentally? Because if he's like fucking spazzing out like this, and he accidentally get hit, you know, that's one thing. But if it looked intentional. Only a few people. How do you feel about the Tourette's thing? About the that Tourette's activist saying the N-word at the BAFTAs? Listen, I already said my thing about fucking about Tourette's. It's absolutely hilarious. I mean, not the syndrome isn't hilarious, but the situation is. My thing, okay, listen. The long story, or I should say the short story, is why were you thinking it? I feel like it has to be in your vocabulary to involuntarily blurt out slurs. And you notice one thing about like people with Tourette's, why is it always curse words? And slurs and fucking insults. You ever notice that? It's always dirty stuff. It's never like, oh, lemonade. You know what I mean? We're sitting here having a conversation, armchair. It's never any of that. It's always like, fuck. You know what I mean? We're in the middle of a conversation, suck my dick. Like, why are you insulting me like that? Why are you saying it? Out of all the things, your brain decides to pick the most insulting thing to say. But you still took action for the consequences. Your old friend had autism and still use it as an excuse. Goddamn, how many autistic friends do you have, dude? And my guy was wait, question. How big was your school bus when you went to school? How just give me, was it like one of these or is it like one of these? Just out of curiosity,
I've seen from others as well. Only speaking for myself here, but when I played a game like Arc Raiders for the first time, it was an intense, insane high right off the bat. The game almost felt magical to me. It was easy to understand and easy to jump into. And I think that was by design. Arc seems like a game that was designed so that the most amount of people can have the most amount of fun with it. And it is incredibly successful at that. But I think that with every pro, there is a con, and I think the sacrifice made there by Arc is that there's not a lot of depth. And that is a really good thing when you first hop into the game because the barrier of entry is extremely low. But that can also sometimes mean that for the degenerate gamers such as myself, it can be easy to do everything the game has to offer and then ask, well, what now? I personally was forged in the fires of Escape from Tarkov. No human being on planet Earth has ever put only a few hours into Tarkov and had a good time.
Immediately, bro. That was like two bullets.
300 ammo types,
Tarkov's
33 armor
crazy.
classes, 63,000 gun attachments. Tarkov feels more like homework than a video game at first.
Tarkov's
But then, as you
crazy.
understand it more, and you apply that understanding to being
And it's
good
still
at the game,
popping off,
things
too.
start to click. And before you know it, you have 50 million rubles in your stash, a Kappa container, and no memory of where the last 10,000 hours went. And while Arc Raiders is genuinely one of my favorite games ever made, and while Marathon mechanically is nothing like Escape from Tarkov, I will say that after playing a lot of Marathon, I'm having an experience more like Tarkov, in that the more that I learn and the more that I understand, the
True.
more I am enjoying myself,
Very
and the
much
more
true.
I want to play.
Build
But that does not
crafting.
mean that this is a perfect game. Almost every single pro I have for Marathon has a con attached to it. So I'm gonna kind of just go through.
But okay. I just gotta just mention this real quick. If you compare the gameplay loop side by side from Tarkov to Marathon, they're almost identical. Except Marathon has a different combat loop, I should say. The gameplay loop is the same, but the combat loop is completely different, and it's a lot more complicated, right? You got abilities, different runners, yada yada, all sorts of different crazy equipment. So it's like, if you like this style, this type of aesthetic, I don't know, I just like for me, Marathon ultimately is more fun to play, to get into engagements with, than Arc Raiders, and I played like a fucking hour of Tarkov. But like, again, like if you look at Tarkov now and when it came out, Marathon still looks more fucking fun. It looks a little bit more polished. Tarkov just looks kind of old. And like aside from, you know, just visuals, how's the gameplay, I still think it's just more my style. Again, I'm a Destiny player, so you know, this is the type of stuff that I like. I do like a good military sim here and there, but it's kind of just bland to me. It's kind of just whatever. I've been playing them shits since I was literally a little kid. Before Battlefield 6, before the Battlefield's bad companies, dude. Call of Duty 2. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've been, you know. So it's like, I'm kind of, personally, I'm just kind of burnt out on any kind of military sim. Whereas this is something completely new. It's fresh. And it's a Bungie game, so the gunplay feels great. The gameplay loops, the build crafting, the loot.
Initial thoughts and impressions.
It's scratching my personal itch.
These are definitely my first impressions. My opinions could absolutely change over time as I spend some more time with the game.
I like the colorful world.
Could turn out to be deal breakers that push me.
That's also like another thing that separates Destiny and Warframe for me. I don't really like Warframe for a couple reasons: the gameplay loop, the combat, and the art style. I don't really care for that grungy, dark, tentacly, you know, art style. I like Destiny's bright, you know, vibrant. Sure, they have, you know, their dark, you know, kind of scary moments, but Destiny's art style is beautiful. It's nice to look at. Warframe, it's gross. That's the way I would. It's tentacly and gross. And it's something like, you know, if we're comparing Marathon to Arc Raiders is very like wastelandy. It's very fucking, you know, muted colors, right? It's not really like, it's pretty to look at in the same sense that like Fallout is pretty. Like, it's a fucking apocalypse. Everything is literally burned down and destroyed, but you know, because it's a video game, it looks pretty. That's kind of like the vibes I get from Arc Raiders. So it's a pretty apocalypse, whereas this is a pretty planet. It's nice to look at.
Away from Marathon, or I can just get more and more addicted and find my new obsession. To be honest,
some things you can excuse, but you physically cannot control yourself.
I wanted to go through my initial thoughts. Also, super quick PSA, but this channel is actually sponsored by Ghost now.
Just don't fucking apologize.
For anything from protein powders to pre-workouts, creatine, hydration drink, thing, but I personally love the vibe, the aesthetic, and the art style of Marathon. I think it looks great. I think it's fresh. I love the futuristic sci-fi, almost like 3D printed neon designs. I don't know. I don't know why. It's super subjective. I get it, but I love this stuff. But once again, there's almost like a con to every single pro. I love the vibes, but the UI, especially the HUD UI, can really kind of detach me from it. The game looks completely different when you turn the HUD off. I mean, it's the difference of like feeling like you're playing a video game versus feeling like you're walking around in a movie. It's crazy how much better the game looks with the HUD turned off. Now, you can have all sorts of conversations about like the ability to turn off and on certain parts of the HUD or change the transparency or anything like that. And I would love for them to add more options around that. But just in general, I do think sometimes some of all of the visual indicators that it wants you to see kind of get in the way of some of those vibes. Similarly, I love the sound design of the game. Everything sounds really like intense, and sometimes
it sounds pretty good.
Horror, and the guns feel really punchy, but that sound can become pretty overwhelming and make it hard for you to like hear what you want to hear, because you got robots yelling and screeching and birds and plants and all sorts of stuff.
I hear footsteps behind you, dog. Everything does sound freaking really nice.
And some of the really immersive elements of the game can also kind of get in the way of some of the gameplay. For example, the fog. In my opinion, the game is just way too foggy.
Bro, no, I like it. That's the point. It's fogged.
Not very far. It looks like I've got a piece of construction paper taped to my screen and I can't see anybody. It looks
That's
great.
a personal preference.
But it feels like it stands in the way of the gameplay. I find this as well with the interiors of some buildings. You can have these crazy stylized like neon lights, which feel really cool. But then when you have like robots and riot shields and grenades and explosions and bubble shields, that can kind of get in the way, and I feel like I don't know what I'm looking at. Also, this has been some of the most consistent feedback, but I think a lot of the menus and the UI is pretty rough. I'm constantly
okay
just
with it.
like in a
I mean,
boot
like
loop
it,
of,
it,
like
it can use
escape
some
tab,
like
escape tab,
some
escape,
some
like trying to figure out where I'm trying to go.
simplicity
I know that
settings.
some of
It
that
can
will
use
come
a
with
little
time,
bit of
right?
work,
Like
but
even if they
like
change nothing,
the
a month
format
from
is
now,
fine.
everybody would be flying through the menus, but it definitely feels very unintuitive, especially in like the codex when you're trying to find like where to look for skins or something like that. It can be pretty tough. I would love for a consolidation and just a more streamlined UI experience. Moving into the gameplay though, I have really grown to enjoy
Like
the
little
PvP.
tweaks,
The
little
more
tweaks to
that
the UI.
PvP has developed and the more that people are understanding the game and, you know, not dying to the AI quite as much or figuring out where to go, the more I am really enjoying the gunfights. The gunplay in the game feels really snappy and really satisfying. I mean, it's Bungie gunplay, so it's kind of no surprise, but shooting stuff feels really good in this game. Sniping something feels so crisp. It is so reminiscent of the Halo snipers. It feels great. A lot of the guns are just fun to use, fun to shoot, fun to kill stuff with. The time to kill in the game, especially when in terms of PvP, is something that has been brought up a lot. The time to kill in this game is shorter than I think most people were expecting, because in a lot of ways this game looks like an Apex Legends, right? You got the heroes, you got the movement,
Kinda.
you've got kind of like this different aesthetic. It's not a milsim realistic game, and so I think there's almost an unspoken expectation that the time to kill is going to be a little longer, and it's not. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think in an extraction shooter where you kind of want to be stressed all the time, you don't want to be running around with like a purple shield and feel like you don't have to worry about somebody. You also want to be able to clutch a 1v2 or a 1v3 or wipe out a team on your own if you play really, really well. And so I think a faster or lower time to kill fits better with this game.
That's
but I
fair.
will say that I think Marathon has some issues.
No,
with
that
the
is fair.
consistency.
That's actually a really, really good point, because that's been a bit of a pain stake that I feel like every single person has felt. You have a shit ton of gear, and then you just go down like a sack of bricks. If you're sitting there looting anything and somebody gets to jump on you and you're just standing still, like those seconds that it takes for you to get hit, realize that you've got hit in your brain, hit the fucking, tell your brain to hit the fucking button to back out of the menu, that goes through the satellite, like all of, like, these are milliseconds, okay? Every millisecond fucking counts. And it goes through the satellite and it hits the fucking server, and then it tells your fucking character to move or to back out. And then you gotta do the whole thing all over again just to move out of the way. By the time all of that shit's over, you're fucking dead, man. All within seconds. All within seconds. And if you got some goop on you, sorry, I'm just thinking about all my lost loot. My purple backpacks. Fuck. It's all good. It's all good. We all got reset anyway. Don't matter. But that is a really good point. Because if it were, in a lot of cases, like some other battle royales type shit, where people just have like infinite heals, it takes a lot to kill a Warzone. Arc Raiders is kind of like that. These guys are kind of tanky, you know, as far as like the end game players, they could be kind of tanky. Twitch, it'll make it a little bit harder to 1v3. Just because the team is just so beefy. What other game was that, dude? What other game was that? Whereas, like, if the team just got too strong, it'd be impossible to kill them. Oh, honestly, kind of like Destiny. I think Destiny is a very good example. If you have 3 Guardians, say you're in like a trials match, if you have fucking 3 Guardians and they're all shooting at you, bro, the time to kill for like most weapons, you could possibly get 1 down before the other 2 will take you out. You get what I'm saying? Like I think the TTK in this is faster than Destiny. Obviously, depending on the weapon, if you're using a shotgun, or something that one taps, then it's different.
Around the time to kill. When I have an AR and I'm fighting somebody with an AR, or when I have an SMG and I'm fighting somebody with an SMG, it feels really
dead.
Great. But there are a couple of times where
but then he's dead immediately, like
from like a DMR from really far away, and I'm instantly dead. Or the shotgun.
That's not a good idea. You should have let him
example.
Around the corner.
Double barrel shotgun in the game does a tremendous amount of damage. I personally feel like it is way overtuned and will just be the meta instantly. Every close quarters engagement will be over in one click with this shotgun. Maybe it's mad cause bad, and once again, maybe they won't change it and it'll be fine over time, but right now, that kind of feels like a standout in terms of inconsistency with the time to kill. Continuing with the gunplay and the PvP mechanics, the utility in this game feels great. All the different grenades and bubble shields and ammo packs and flechette grenades and EMP grenades and all that kind of stuff feels great. They feel powerful, they feel strong, and it's a game where it feels like I kind of want to have one of everything on me. And to me, that's normally a good sign that everything has value, everything has a place where it's useful. And I think that's a good pressure of like, what should I bring? What are we doing? What kind of fits with my play style? The utility in the game feels great. Also, the heroes, the abilities, the runners, the shells, learning how to play a character well seems really rewarding. The more you stick with a character and the more you kind of like know when to pre-pop your abilities or how to open a fight or how to support your teammates in a fight feels really great. And getting a good team composition feels really rewarding as well. And most of the runners feel great. Even some of the ones I was worried about, like Recon with their little wall hack thing, there are so many AI around that sometimes when you hit that, it just pings like 14 things. And it almost doesn't feel like this giant advantage because you then have to like solve a Sudoku to figure out which of the pings is a player. And I kind of like that that gives you the information, but it doesn't just tell you what players are. So a lot of the runners feel great, feel fun to use. Once again, however, the one exception for me is Assassin. Invisibility in games like this is always going to be pretty tough for me. I don't know. I just don't know that it fits to let somebody go invisible and then walk up and one pump you with a shotgun and steal all your loot. That just doesn't feel fun. And the assassin is very much to invisibility.
I love it.
He goes invisible in smoke, so he can bring his own smokes to throw.
Dude, I actually have been like pseudo build crafting for an assassin build. There's this one core, no, I think an implant to where when you slide, you go invisible. What the fuck? And I think there's like something else that can go invisible in with his fucking passive using smokes. So if you just spec into just gathering a bunch of smokes, dude, like literally the assassin build is gonna go crazy. Just constantly popping smokes, just fucking boom, boom. Like you go into a raid dead ass with like fucking 10 smokes, bro. Like each engagement, you're just fucking smoking. Brother, imagine like you fucking find a team and you literally just fucking pop like 5 smokes around the fucking perimeter, dude. Oh my god. And then you got yourself a thermal gun. Oh my god. I'm about to go crazy. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yo. And then you got your main fucking smoke, which is absolutely huge. Bruh. And then, hold on. And then you got your motherfucking recon. Beep, 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 beep. She's gonna fucking point them out for you, dog. She's gonna point them out for you. And then you got your thermals. Who else can we throw in the mix? Who else can we throw to make this even more lethal? Thief! Fucking Thief! That's gonna be the gameplay. You find a team, dude. The fucking assassin pops like 4 smokes, dude. Pops his ult. Smoked out everybody. Recon hits her fucking bleep, 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 bleep. Her little finger bang. Scans the whole area. Everybody's got thermals. And then the motherfucking Thief got her drone and she's picking people's loot. So now they're in smoke. They're getting shot at and they're losing their loot. I gotta take this. Simmer on that one. I'm getting hungry, fellers. I'm getting hungry. We'll finish up
that make him go invisible.
Kazan.
His ultimate ability throws down smokes that make him go invisible. His passive trait of falling from a great height. And
But yeah, no, that's gonna be a crazy build. The assassin build, dude. That's gonna be fucking nuts, dude. I'm gonna think of some other build combos, dude, but I'm really excited for that one. Oh, also the triage combo. Oh, brother. You take your drone, you give it to everyone. Because and I got this idea from, you know, someone else that I was playing with. Being the dedicated healer, bro. Alright, so follow me, see? When you're in a 1v1 and you pop his shields, he pops your shields, does some damage, you're both doing a little damage to your health, you kind of both back away, you get behind cover, and you start healing. That takes time. But with the triage dog, I'm already pre-stimming my boy in the fight. So while he's in the fight shooting, he's healing. So if he takes damage, it's literally getting replenished. Whereas the other guy, he has to stop shooting, get some cover, and do a whole ass animation. So while he's doing that, my boy, he doesn't have to stop. You get what I'm saying? My teammate can continue, he can push forward while still healing. You get what I'm saying? And then do all other sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of like other buffs like signal jammers. I apply it to myself, and then now my entire team is signal jammed. Now they can't even see. I could pop a EMP, like if we're in close quarters, I could pop an EMP and then give my teammates, me and my teammates, like a debug, right? Or give them a stamina. Like, there's just so many freaking combinations. But I feel like being the person to constantly heal your teammates while they're engaging in fight is very, very big. However, it's very big if you have good heals. If you're just using like the depleted medkits, the TTK in this game is way too fast. That doesn't do anything. You need like the blue heals. So if they take some heavy damage, you instantly heal them, and then they're back in the fight. That's really the only time that that's gonna like come in clutch.
And deploying a smoke makes him go invisible. If anybody else on the other teams throw smoke, he can go invisible. And then, independent of all that, his ability is just press F and you go invisible. It just kind of feels like you could be invisible forever. And I don't know.
Dude, wait till he finds out the different mods.
To that with recon and with the proximity sensors and stuff like that. But with how short the time to kill can be, sometimes those counters will be hard to deploy because you might just be dead to the invisible guy. Once again, this is another thing. Maybe it's just mad cause bad. Maybe they'll never change it, and I kind of learned to play against it, and it's totally fine.
Mad cause bad.
Other
That's
people
funny.
love, and I don't like, and that's fine. I'll just kind of eat that. But that's, you know, at least for me, something that I find pretty frustrating. Moving on, though, I want to talk about the build crafting.
I also notice everyone's frustrated about like something particular, while some people are just. I'm absolutely okay with most of the runners. Sure, they could like use some tweaks, but that's literally it, like tweaks. I don't think there's really much that needs a complete overhaul. Like I don't think the UI needs a complete overhaul. Just some tweaks, make it a little bit, you know, more controller friendly perhaps. Ease of use, little quality of life stuff, right? Certain buttons. I feel like being able to take off attachments off a gun that's in someone else's backpack is a must. Because if I see a gun in someone else's backpack and it's blue, but I already got better stuff, I don't want that gun. Or in some cases, I don't have enough. Because what you have to do is you have to take the fucking weapon off their body. Not only put it in your backpack, but equip it. Because while you're out in the field, you can't. Not that I've seen. I mean, maybe. I gotta, you know. We'll see when the game launches. But it really sucks to kind of have to go through that whole rigmarole of pulling off the gun, putting it, either equipping it or in your backpack, taking off the attachments, which will then get put in your backpack, and sometimes it's just a whole storage problem. And then put the gun back. So, like, absolutely being able to take off attachments off of someone else's gun in their backpack after you loot their body is a fucking must-have. That's, like, #1 for me.
Skill crafting in the game from top to bottom can be pretty overwhelming, but I think that eventually is a good thing.
Yeah, like right here, you wouldn't be able to take these, you know, this green or this white mod off his body.
The gun modification system, I actually really like it. It's actually one of my favorite things about the game. I like it a lot more than I thought I would. It adds a ton of value.
His looting
to the
speed is
game
so slow.
because the mods that you find can be really cool,
His
and
looting
it can
speed.
make finding a gun, which you might find, you know, this overrun AR a million times. It can make finding it sometimes really exciting if they have really rare mods or mods that you personally like. There are a ton of different gun mods, and they do a ton of different things. This is where they really lean into the sci-fi, and I
gotta
love
find
it.
this website.
There are ones that make it so you make money when killing the UESC bots. You can have ones that with consecutive shots hit, it has a chance to reload some of that ammunition so that you can
guy's
kind of
got
like
some stuff.
overflow your ammo. And with like
Take
a
the
bolt
blue
or a
gun, dude.
shotgun, this goes crazy. You can have it where the longer you ADS, it gives you like buffs, makes you harder to see by enemies, or gives you these cool side effects. There's a lot here, and it's really cool. You can kind of ignore it if you want, if you're overwhelmed by it, and you can just use the guns, and none of them really increase the damage output, but they can just allow you to kind of like spec into very specific things, and it's really cool. The big con here is that the visual clarity is non-existent with the gun mods. I mean, you could have 3 rows in your
That's true.
stash, and it's just a bunch of rectangles, and
Yeah,
I
that's true.
have no idea to know what any of it actually does. You just have to spend a bunch of time hovering over each one to even see, is this an optic? Is it a magazine? Is it a chip? What does it do?
Okay, well, also, that's another thing right there. Bro, I'm noticing so many things from so many of these guys, to which, you know, most of what they say is, you know, true. But then there's also just little stuff about not understanding the game. So him mentioning that there's no way to identify what these things are. There's just a bunch of rectangles, which to be it like is fair. If you're looking at it like this, what the actual fuck are we doing? You just got money and what you can and can't equip. However, if you click on controller, the left thumbstick, it'll change the money icon to what it actually is. It'll literally tell you if it's a barrel, if it's a magazine, like that's a barrel, that's a grip, right? That looks like a magazine. That looks like a fucking, I don't really know what that is. Looks like a what's that shit? Like a muzzle? Whatever it is. But yeah, muzzle, right? To put at the end of your gun, or at the, you know, like at the tip of the barrel. You could change these icons, and you can visibly and instantly identify what's what, whether it's a magazine. Now, what it does, I don't think there's really any way. Well, I would probably say better like pictures to identify. So for instance, if it's a drum mag, we all know what a fucking drum mag looks like. It looks like a ball sack. Or at least if it's a, you know, like a pistol or something, then like a singular ball sack, you know what I mean? One big ball sack. You know what I mean? ARs, 2 balls, pistols, 1 ball, right? That's a drum mag. An extended mag, obviously, it's a fucking banana clip, right? A fucking a tactical reload, obviously, you got the fucking, like Call of Duty has nailed this to a T. You got the fucking regular mag, and you got the other one taped upside down. You get that tactical reload like that. You know what I'm saying? Make these look like that. We all know what suppressors look like, so I feel like they're kind of okay. Another thing that's also kind of fucking with us is that these guns are made up. They're not real guns. So in an attachment for a real gun, it's a little hard to tell. It's a little hard to tell. Now, granted, guns are guns. I could obviously tell that that's a barrel. I could tell that that's a magazine. I could tell that It might be an optic. But they're not of this world, so you know what I mean? It's I can understand how it's a little hard to tell. But however, again, it's just kind of why I went off on this tangent is it's so much better to understand and easier, and you might like the game a lot more if you understand it a lot more. Whereas some of these painstakes aren't painstakes. Again, like the UI, he still has his money up. I immediately changed this. Of course, I was fumbling around in the menu, just, you know, just hitting buttons and shit. And I said, oh, hey, you could do that. Whereas if you're on mouse and keyboard, it's not as easy to just start hitting random buttons. Because you need to have an entire fucking keyboard. So it's a little hard for them to kind of figure stuff out. But the game also tells you in the UI. Pretty sure it tells you somewhere around here. There's another example I had. Oh yeah, like the guns. A problem that I had was whenever I would pick up a gun and I'll put it in my inventory, I would have to go down here and find mods, and then I would have to look for like these little arrows to figure out which gun or which mod, I should say just attachment, which attachment went to my gun. It was kind of annoying because you just had to it wasn't instant. But when you figure it out, if you inspect it, you can pretty much pull up every, you know, compatible mod or attachment for that gun, and you can instantly just pick it. Boom, 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 boom. You can just build craft from there. So it's just little stuff like that to make the gameplay experience a little bit better, especially navigating the UI.
Each one to even see, is this an optic? Is it a magazine? Is it a chip? What does it do? It's just a lot of information, and I would love some more clarity on, I can at least see this and see that it is a magazine mod, or see this and see that it's a barrel mod, or some sort of visual clarity there would be very helpful. The same thing goes for the build crafting with the cores and the implants. Once again, it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of like figuring out what stuff is, who is this for, what does this do, what does version 1 versus version 3 do? And it's just like a lot of information. But the more you learn that information, the more you are allowed to kind of bend a runner to your will, right? You can make a triage, a frontline medic, where you're doing a ton of DPS and kind of like keeping your team healthy from the front lines, or spec it into a much more passive character where you're supporting your team as they do the damage. I love that with all the cores and the implants, you can do that, but they all kind of look very similar, and it just ends up being a lot of hovering and a lot of reading.
That's true.
Once again, fast forward 6 months, and I'm absolutely going to have favorite implants and favorite chip mods and all this kind of stuff for my runners, but right now it can be just a lot. This can also just kind of be largely ignored. Mostly through the Server Slam, I went into every raid with no cores and no implants and just picked ones up as I found them because I couldn't be bothered because I was learning all the other things. But you know, once again, over time, it'll be something that's worth investing time into. Moving on, I want to talk about the PvE elements of the game. In my opinion, the PvE is in the best spot it's ever been in. I've played a lot of previous builds of this game, and it feels pretty good in terms of quantity, difficulty, and how they affect the map flow. There have been previous builds where the AI was just extremely oppressive. They were nonstop calling in reinforcements. You could never clear an area. It was never quiet, and it was just kind of this crazy mess. It feels really good right now, in my opinion. One tapping, some of the small dudes feels really satisfying and great. However, the flip side of this is that the bullet sponginess of the bosses, the purple and gold rarity ones,
they're bosses. I mean, a part of that to why you feel like some of these enemies are bullet sponges is you got a bad gun. Not using the right gun. It probably don't got no decent upgrades. It might just be you shooting. Equipment can go a long way, you know what I mean? Throwables. You also said the word boss.
falls really flat in my opinion. They are the exact same like models as the lower tier enemies.
That is true. I did mention that. We do need more models. Every single UESC is the exact same thing. Except they look slightly different. This one has a backpack. This one's head is shaped like a box. It's got a little bit more meat on its bones, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's, you know, arms, legs, robot, you know, head. Pretty typical.
They are just
They all
white
move
and
pretty
have
much the same.
gold shields, and they have a trillion HP, and it just feels really bad to be putting magazine after magazine of heavy ammo, all headshots, boom, 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 and just the dude's just standing there tanking it, and you have no idea how close they are to death. I wish there were a lot more stages visually to let you know what their health status is. It would be really cool if maybe some of their armor parts start to pop off, or maybe they catch on fire, or they start to overheat, or maybe they make a certain noise when they're about to die. All of these things would let the player know kind of like where you are in the process of killing them, and it would at least help alleviate the just like non-stop barrage.
Whoa,
of bullets,
big
and you
loot,
just
big
have
loot,
no
big
idea
loot.
when this thing is going to die. This can really kind of take you out of a really immersive raid, and so I hope that they are willing to, I don't know, make some changes here. Also, I personally think that there's just way too much invisible stuff on the map. Not only do you have to deal with runners, but there are so many AI that go invisible, and that just gets really annoying to me. I will say that the PvE events have been a real treat to learn and understand. It's been really fun to figure out how to trigger them and what resources you need to complete them. And some of the best loot I've found so far in Marathon has been at the end of these things. They can be PvP catalysts because they oftentimes make a lot of noise or change the map in some way. And this is a place where I really hope that they lean into this a lot with things like the Marathon ship or seasonal events and stuff like that. This is where a lot of the lore can come into play here with some of the different races or aliens and all that kind of stuff. I don't know much about the lore, but I know it is very deep and there's a lot to it. And I feel like this is a place where they can really bring that in and create some really unique moments. Also, quick kind of like random PvE adjacent things, but all of the like plants that gives you toxins and the claymores and the turrets, those things are kind of lame, I guess. I don't know. I get why they're there. They toned down the quantity of AI, so they put these other things around that can cause noise or something you have to deal with, something to shoot at you or shoot back.
It's
something
fair.
you have to be aware of. And
No, it's totally fair. I've been in several situations where we're trying to avoid a team, but there's a fucking turret right in front of us. Even if we wanted to avoid shooting it, that motherfucker will shoot at you.
get it. I get the value that adds, but I don't know. Like for the plants, for example, there's no really other plants that does anything in Marathon except for this
That's
one
true.
that just
Poisons you.
poisons you, and it just kind of feels out of place because there's not a whole lot of like plants around.
Yeah, I don't like the plant thing. I hate that.
Claymores just feel kind
I
of
actually hate that
annoying.
plant
I don't-
shit.
I know it's a nitpick.
The
but
claymores
it is a
make sense. I'm
frustration
okay with
that
the
I've run into
claymores.
a lot. And then another thing is that there are just so many status effects in the game. I mean, just off the top of my head, there's EMP, data corruption, virus, toxin, immobilize, frost, overheat.
That's
There were just
okay.
so many.
No,
that I
that's
couldn't for
beautiful.
the
I
life
love
of me
that.
tell you what any of them actually do. I know that your
It's
screen
new.
goes crazy and you die.
It's new.
and you
Like, why
can't
do people
move,
think
and
that they're
I don't
gonna
know, and
like crack the
there's
code
almost
the
so
first
many of
day,
them that
bro?
it's hard to engage with.
I don't
these
even know what
status
Frost
effects
does,
as
but
a
like
system,
that's the
because
beauty.
you would
There's
have
mystery.
to bring like 4 additional consumables to prepare for all of these status effects. So
One of my favorite things in games is figuring out like gameplay loops or like tricks that other people don't know, so I could use it against them. Because there's obviously like the stuff that is obvious, you know what I mean? You throw an EMP and you know that'll fuck up their systems. But like stuff like Frost, what the hell does that do? You know what I mean? Can you make a Frost build? That's the kind of stuff that I like to lean into because no one will ever expect it. That's what's fun.
people just end up kind of ignoring them and then tanking the damage and trying to look past them. And so this is something that could potentially be either explained better by the game or maybe streamlined into just like 3 status effects and 2 consumables that cover them all. I like that they're there, but this could also be something that, you know, over time, as we learn the system and as we understand it, it's better. Moving on though to progression. I love the progression in this game. I don't really have a whole lot of negative things to say about it. The faction progression is great. There are a ton of quests in the game. There's priority quests, there's kind of like side quests, and there seems to be a lot. Personally, I don't mind how they're designed either. Like, I know it's just kind of like, go here, get a thing, drop this thing off, kill this thing, find this thing, but I don't really know. I'm not really expecting, 18-part, fully voice-acted cutscene quests in an extraction shooter. There's enough there to keep me busy and always have kind of like something to do.
I
and
expect
goal in the
that.
match, and I like that. And then beyond that, you have the whole kind of like faction upgrade trees, which is a whole nother progression avenue. I like that there are a ton of things to save, a ton of materials to save, a ton of upgrades to get. It feels linear in the sense that sometimes you want a thing, but you have to get this upgrade before you can get that upgrade. But it also feels pretty free flowing because there's going to be 6 factions and you can get, something from Traxxas and then something from Sakaguchi and then something from Maida. And so it feels like there's a lot here, and I like that. The codex and how that's also tied to the progression for a lot of the skins for the runners
It's
feels
Destiny
really neat
fashion.
as well. Once again, the codex UI is terrible. It's impossible to find anything, but
Yeah.
the amount of stuff that's there is great. There is a ton
Yeah,
of lore
that's
to
true.
find. There's a ton of challenges to accept, and there are a ton of
Navigation's
ways
terrible.
to get
I'll
a ton
give
of
him that,
skins
yeah.
in the game, and I love that progression. I love having that thing to do. There's also going to be the emergent progression of wanting to get the best stuff to play the most endgame maps. And then there's ranked progression, which we don't know much about yet, and the seasonal battle passes that I'm sure are going to be in the game and add progression as well. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about the loot economy in the game. I personally really like that there is a lot of things to loot. I think in an extraction shooter, that's it's fun to go around and you want the dopamine of finding the rare thing, but that dopamine really only hits if finding that rare thing means you have to look through a bunch of garbage. And I don't really mind that some of it is garbage. I would like if, almost everything had some sort of value. You could trade it everything for something, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't really mind.
Yeah,
that you
everything
have
in
to
the
loot
game,
a lot and there's a lot of things to loot. But I will
besides,
say
like,
that the mechanism of looting,
sellable
how
items that
you
get
loot
auto sold,
things
everything
is
has value.
really where the game falls apart, in my opinion. This
Besides
is probably
the
my
depleted
number one sticking point,
shield
my
and
number
health
one
stuff.
frustration with Marathon, and that is how you loot. Not the loot economy, but how you loot. The bags are way too small. You cannot fit anything. The game is asking you to come in and be prepared. You have to bring ammo, you have to bring meds, you have to bring these consumables for these, toxins. You have to bring all this
Bags
stuff,
are too small.
and you just have no
But if you
room
get
to
yourself a
loot.
purple bag,
These
I mean,
games are
you're feeling
about
pretty
looting
good.
and finding
Get yourself a
stuff,
blue
and I
bag.
get that there's supposed to be some pressure. You don't want to feel like you can take everything at all times. You want to have those key decision moments where do I want this gun or do I want this quest progression? I get that. But I feel like there would be a healthy amount of that pressure if you doubled the size of all the bags. I just think that
There would be a
way
lot of pressure.
overtuned. I think the stack sizes of things are way too small.
But what
could
about the
be a
purple
way
bag?
to alleviate some of that pressure without having to increase the
Like they
bag
did.
sizes. If the meds and the ammo and stuff like that could just stack in bigger amounts, that would be very
A
helpful.
purple bag can literally hold so fucking much, bro. I mean, maybe, because I've been drip fed bag space. You know what I mean? I've been dealing with the first fucking bag, the basic fucking, the no bag. I played Marathon with no bag.
Additionally, without proximity looting, there can be these crazy situations where after everyone on your team
Proximity
has touched the body,
looting.
there's just stuff all over the floor. People have tossed stuff out to pick up other stuff because the bags are so small. And then your friend is like, hey, I dropped a blue bag back there. And there's just a sea of items
That's
on the
true.
floor. And it's like impossible to find the thing you're looking for.
I've done that.
Some proximity looting or some system to alleviate that would be great. And additionally, swapping mods from one gun to another
Yep.
is like gives me an aneurysm. If you find a good gun in a locker and you want to take a mod off, you have
Yep.
to empty space in your backpack so that you can put
That's
the
exactly
gun
what
from
I
the
said.
locker on your person and the gun on your person in the locker so that you can take the mods off the gun, and there has to be space in your backpack to do so. And it's like, I'm just gonna freak out trying to figure out how to do that. I like that you can do that. I like that you can take the mods off, but the mechanism with how you do that can get a little insane. Moving on though, I really like that there is a barter economy in this game now. This has been great. It has added value to a bunch of kind of like random garbage stuff. And I like that this is something where you can take out a bunch of the stuff and then trade for meds or trade for ammo. I think that's great. I think they should continue to expand on that. And then kind of back to the flip side, one of the things I hate is that they auto sell stuff for you. All of the kind of like miscellaneous items in the game, they just automatically sell them. That just feels offensive to me. I don't know why. I'm just a loot goblin, and sometimes I want to keep valuable stuff and then sell it when maybe I've had a bad day or and I'm running low on money. I don't like that it auto sells for you, and I absolutely hate that there is a limit to how much money you can have. Once again, this just
You can
seems
increase
insane.
the cap, like a limit. Right now on the server slam, my vault, I'm sorry, my money limit is 100,000. 100,000. If you're sitting at 100,000 talking about I need more money, which I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure there's more upgrades to where you can upgrade that, including your vault space. Like some of these complaints, like whenever I watch like any of these videos talking about like Marathon specifically, honestly, like a lot of games to be honest, but like for in Marathon's case, a lot of these videos that I'm watching, some of these complaints are already like can be solved that are in the game. You just don't know that. And he's level 37, so it's like, you know what I mean? No, like they're right 75% of the time. But some stuff is just like,
Counter to what an extraction shooter is.
it's like complaining about something that's not true.
Hoarding and amassing wealth is like the point of these games. And so putting a cap on that feels very antithetical to the genre.
Because, yeah, I mean, like, if you're sitting at 22,000 talking about you need more money, but the cap is 100,000, like, brother, man, you need to get to grinding before you start complaining that you need more money.
And I hope they remove it. Those are kind of like a lot
The game ain't even out yet.
Cons and my thoughts about them.
How you got max money?
Have questions about Marathon that we
He didn't do
haven't
his
had
quest,
answered
that's
yet. I
how.
still have concerns. One of my biggest questions is, what is the Marathon moment going to be? What does an only in Marathon moment look like? If you've played Tarkov before, you know that Tarkov provides a level of adrenaline and it gets your hands shaking that just no other game can. When you wipe 3 people as a solo and walk out with 180 kilograms worth of loot, it just creates these moments. Arc Raiders even has these moments when you're fighting this building-sized robot with a couple of people that you just met, and you're fighting other people that are trying to steal that loot, and then it explodes, and that's an only in Arc Raiders moment. And what is that only in Marathon moment? I hope it's there, and I think that if it is going to be with some of the endgame maps, like we said, where they tie in some of the lore and the PvP and the PvE and that kind of stuff, but we just haven't seen that yet. I also want to know what the endgame is like. Is it just going to be a sweat fest where everybody has the best stuff and an unlimited amount of gear and an unlimited amount of money? Or is there still going to be gear fear and progression and pressure even in the end game? And I also want to know if there's going to be enough draw to get people to want to wipe their characters 4 times a year. As far as I know, the game is going to have 4 seasons a year, and each season is going to be a forced full wipe of the game. There can be some really big benefits to this, as it means there's always an on-ramp for new players to come in and not feel like they're behind. But the game has to be compelling enough to make people want to continue to play.
That's a trick.
I recently got to play a little bit with Joe Ziegler, who's the game director of Marathon.
Oh, wow.
And when I asked him about this, he talked about how he felt like extraction shooters that wiped were almost like roguelites. And I really like that description, and I really hope that they lean into that. I hope that they create enough systems and enough season-to-season changes, whether it's adding runners or maps or whatever, to make it feel like the wipe isn't taking something from you, but giving you an opportunity to play the game again in a different way. And like I said, I still have concerns about Marathon.
Okay, yeah, that's
mainly, does it know that it's an extraction shooter? Does it reward you for doing the things it asks you to do? If the game is going to ask you to understand all these complex systems and be prepared for anything that can happen, do they reward you? In an extraction shooter, rewarding you is letting you take out loot. One of my concerns is that in the end game, if you come super prepared with 2 guns, 2 cores, 3 implants, a bunch of ammo, and a bunch of meds, even with the biggest backpack in the game, I don't know that you could take out one other person's full end game kit. Like, you would have to put 2 guns in your backpack, 2 cores, 3 implants, a couple extra shields, maybe some extra meds. That's one person's gun. It just doesn't feel like there's enough space there. Another question is, if the game is about bringing stuff out of raid and presumably, amassing wealth and stacking resources, why would they cap the credits? If the game is about build crafting, then why limit the stash space so small? If I want to play more than one runner, depending on what kind of squad, what kind of, team comp I'm playing, then I'm going to want to stack up mods and cores and implants for different guns and different runners and different all that kind of stuff, but the stash pressure seems really high. Ultimately, though, those are my initial thoughts on Marathon. I know it's kind of just me rambling for a bit, but this
Yeah.
game genuinely did so.
Alrighty. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with most of what he was saying. The game could use some tweaks, but overall, I think it's a good game, and I'm really excited, dude. Shout out to Jesse Kazam. Skill up video was okay. It was all right, but GG folks, thank you guys so much for hanging out, watching. I hope everyone has a fantastic, lovely, superbulous, exuberant day today, fellers. Or night, wherever you are. GG's, everyone. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody. This is